Well, hello everyone. I'm Claudia. I'm a volunteer at Liberty Wildlife, and we're here today to talk about International Hawk Migratory Week. And we're trying to introduce you to many of the hawks that migrate throughout North America. This is one that's very rarely seen by people. It's called a ferruginous hawk. His name is Pawnee. Now, ferruginous is a word that means rusty. So if you take a look at his wings, you can see that they are rusty in color. And that's where he gets his name from. He's from a family of birds that called bootios, and that includes even the red-tailed hawk, which you may have seen that video the other day of Doris and I showing the red-tailed hawks. This is the largest bootio, the largest hawk in the bootio family. He weighs up to about almost 3 pounds. And as I've said before, the females are about 30% larger, heavier. So a female would probably weigh closer to 4 pounds. That's pretty impressive for a bird that's in the, in the plains area, which is where they are predominantly. Their summers are spent in the plains of Canada, Wyoming, Colorado, the eastern part of the Dakotas, and they nest there. Their winters are really a very short migration. They go a little bit further south into New Mexico, a lot into Arizona, down in a little bit of Texas, California, and the rest go into Mexico. Now, the reason that they migrate is basically related to two things: food and nesting or mating, raising a family. In the springtime, they want to get to the best nesting sites that have the most food, the best trees, everything that they need to raise a family. So they will go from their winter migration site north, and they will do their nesting. But in the fall is a very loose term. It can be anywhere from the end of July all the way through November. Birds will start to migrate south. And they do that because the food runs out in the winter. So if you've been living in the summer in Ottawa, it starts to snow, and all of the birds and rodents that you've been eating start to hibernate. So you have to move a little bit further south every day, every week. It's called a frost line migration, and you just keep going as long as the prey holds out. Now, this particular bird doesn't go too far, as I said. He'll go into maybe central Mexico, but he's a bird of wide open country areas, and he finds plenty of that to suit him in places like Arizona and New Mexico. They really like agricultural fields. They tend to like those more so than desert areas. And the reason for that is they hunt rodents. They hunt prairie dogs, ground squirrels, gophers, and they have a unique way of doing it. They hunt on the ground. Now, they can fly like many hawks will do, and they'll come down on their prey. But this bird will walk on the ground. He'll get next to a burrow or one that's being dug in the ground, and he can see the dirt moving, but he can't see the rodent. And he will walk over to that dirt pile, and just before the rodent sticks his head up, he sticks his feet down that dirt into the hole, and he grabs the rodent. Now, in order to do that, he's got a couple of really neat characteristics. He's got tiny feet for a big hawk. Remember, he weighs almost 3 pounds. If you saw the feet on the red tails, they were quite a bit bigger. His are tiny because he's got to get down into a rodent burrow. The other thing that you notice on him is he's got feathering coming all the way down his legs, right down to his feet. Most hawks don't. He does, and we think that's to protect his legs from getting bit when he's reaching down into a hole after a rodent that's fighting for his life, basically. Now, they're considered quite a ferocious hawk, very aggressive. They live on the ground. Many will nest on the ground. Remember, they're from the plains area, and there are not a lot of trees or bushes in the plains. There are rock ledges, and then there's flat grounds, and a lot of them will nest on little rock ledges on the ground. Their nest material can be sticks, grasses. One thing I found especially interesting was back when the buffalo or the bison were plentiful, there were records that the Ferruginous hawk would build a nest out of buffalo chips. So I thought that was really interesting. I even found a photograph to that effect with these little. So if you've got babies on the ground in a nest, you have to be a very aggressive hawk. They can fight off coyotes, foxes. They've even known to fight off badgers. Very aggressive bird. So they're quite beautiful. He's got very distinctive markings. He's called a light morph. I'll show you the back here. Real interesting tail. It's very light. He's got a really big mouth. And the reason why he has a big mouth is, remember, he's on the plains. He's scrappling with other animals that are hunting rodents. So he needs to eat as fast as possible. His mouth goes all the way from the front almost all the way to the back of where his eyes are. And I know you can't really focus in on that. Most hawks, their beak opening comes to the front of the eyes. His go all the way back. He swallows his prey whole. That way, he's ensured that nobody else is going to get him. So that's the Ferruginous hawk migration. Not a real long one, as you'll learn in other videos that are going to be happening this week, but it's a substantial one. They are uncommon. Some are threatened in certain states. They're not in danger of going extinct, but they are threatened because their prairie lands are going away. Pawnee was from a captive breeding program during a time when they thought to captive breed to put others back into the wild to help the numbers, and that worked. And but he was raised in captivity, imprinted, and therefore, excuse me, he cannot go back into the wild. So there you have it. We've got the International Hawk Migratory Week. Thanks for tuning in.